"12 jurors must decide on the verdict of a, at face value, seemingly obvious case of a young man guilty of murdering his own father, but one juror suspects that not all of the pieces add up to easily brush it off as a guilty charge. Despite the other jurors' frustrations, insults, and reluctances to listen, a single juror's sense for reasonable doubt gradually influences the rest of the room to reconsider the fate of the defendant. This is the Sidney Lumet directed production of 12 Angry Men, a brilliant cinematic classic that illustrates the power of reasonable doubt presented rationally, and how one clear voice can influence the majority. Henry Fonda's performance as the juror truly demonstrates the impact of a leadership's influence. His performance offers a mixture of quiet strength, calm rationale, and self-respect that he is unwilling to budge or be intimidated when he is initially of the minority who is unwilling to quickly provide a guilty verdict. Henry Fonda's juror does not back down nor budge easily when hurled with insults, a barrage of vocal harassment, and even at times where physical violence becomes implied or threatened. Henry Fonda's juror's influence begins when he suggests that the jury takes longer to discuss the case than they already have. When every other preliminary vote is guilty, Henry Fonda is the one to vote not guilty, even though he is not certain the defendant is exactly innocent. He's also not certain the defendant is guilty, and that is enough to warrant discussing matters further. Henry Fonda's juror says "supposing we're wrong," which implies a chance of making a mistake with their verdict, potentially sending an innocent man to the electric chair for a crime they didn't commit. Henry Fonda's character also has the additional challenge that many of the jurors in 12 Angry Men, not dissimilar to jurors in real juries, have their own plans and wish to wrap the discussion up quickly. The quickest option, the easiest option, would be to decide the defendant is guilty and call it a day. For example, one very vocal juror wishes to catch a bowl game, desperate not to be too late and wants the case wrapped up as soon as possible. Another juror assumes that due to the defendant's race, the juror claims that the defendant is likely a born liar. Some jurors have clear prejudices or prior engagements that encourages a more blasé, less considerate approach to their decision regarding the defendant's fate. Henry Fonda's juror is faced with this intense reluctance from his fellow jurors who are not the most willing to hear his reasons for reasonable doubt. Henry Fonda's protagonist uses a selection of methods to persuade the other jurors towards his concerns. The methods of persuasion include blocking out hypothetical scenarios, cross-examination, hypothesizing, discussing the minor details of the case, and even illustrating the possibility that someone may have the same switchblade as the defendant, demonstrating that the distinctive knife is not as rare as once believed. Henry Fonda comes into this jury prepared, and although he would not be against being persuaded himself, he most certainly was not going to be pushed, bullied, or manipulated to vote guilty. He is the perfect juror, not willing to go down without a damn good fight. In the end, it feels like Henry Fonda's juror has achieved the nigh impossible, having convinced the rest of the room that the defendant isn't guilty. The jurors don't necessarily need to agree that the defendant is completely innocent, but they must agree that there isn't enough evidence, and there is enough reason for doubt, that it wouldn't be suitable to dismiss the defendant as guilty. In conclusion, 12 Angry Men is a powerful depiction of reasonable doubt, and the impact of a leading rational influence on other people who provide vocal, loud disagreement. The film portrays the risk of snap judgments, the potential danger of a unanimous guilty verdict leading to a man's avoidable death, and with low stakes, attempts to topple the odds in favour of the protagonist's reasonable doubt, illustrating the power of a fair, rational, albeit challenging jury.